أما بعد فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم أتل ما أوحي إليك من الكتاب وأقم الصلاة إن الصلاة تنهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر ولذكر الله أكبر والله يعلم ما تصنعون ولا تجادلوا أهل الكتاب إلا بالتي هي أحسن إلا الذين ظلموا منهم وقولوا آمنا بالذي أنزل إلينا وأنزل إليكم وإلهنا وإلهكم واحد ونحن له مسلمون وكذلك أنزلنا إليك الكتاب فالذين آتيناهم الكتاب يؤمنون به ومن هؤلاء من يؤمن به وما يجحد بآياتنا إلا الكافرون وما كنت تتلو من قبله من كتاب ولا تخطه بيمينك إذا لارتاب المبطلون بل هو آيات بينات في صدور الذين أوتوا العلم وما يجحد بآياتنا إلا الظالمون وقالوا لولا أنزل عليه آيات من ربه قل إنما الآيات عند الله وإنما أنا نذير مبين أولم يكفهم أنا أنزلنا عليك الكتاب يتلى عليهم إن في ذلك لرحمة وذكرى لقوم يؤمنون قل كفى بالله بيني وبينكم شهيدا يعلم ما في السماوات والأرض والذين آمنوا بالباطل وكفروا بالله أولئك هم الخاسرون صدق الله العظيم وبلغنا رسوله النبي الكريم ونحن على ذلك من الشاهدين والشاكرين والحمد لله رب العالمين. Surah Ankaboot, this part of the surah talks about the Quran, and this Quran being enough a miracle or a sign from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for someone who wants to believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the prophethood of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The ayah that we recited last time, it starts with Utlu ma uhiya ilayka min al-kitab. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is commanding the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam to recite the Quran over the people, to invite them towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the oneness. Wa aqim as-salah, and do all the good deeds that you are supposed to do, especially the salah. Salah is in itself such a thing that it is an expression of extreme humility of a slave before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and thus it teaches one that when you are submitting yourself to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then doing evil and shameful things is a disrespect to the Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala whom you are expressing extreme humility to. وَلَذِكْرُ اللَّهِ أَكْبَرُ, and the remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, being mindful of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, doing everything for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, staying away from the things that have been forbidden. All of that is included in the dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that's the greatest thing, that one should do everything for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَاللَّهُ يَعْلَمُ مَا تَصْنَعُونَ, Allah surely knows what you do. So never forget, never be neglectful of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَلَا تُجَادِلُوا أَهْلَ الْكِتَابِ, when the established prophethood of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam is there, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is teaching the believers how to do jidal, or how to debate with the people of the book. The reason why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us how to debate with the people of book is because in that time and also in these days, the people of the book are generally more receptive. Why? Because they already believe in one or two books of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They have a belief, but that belief is corrupt, rather than somebody who has resolved to not listen and be constantly biased. Not all of the Ahlul Kitab, but some of them are more receptive. And particularly in the time of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, although the people of the book, the Yahud and Nasara, the Christians and the Jewish people, had done tahrifat, and tahrifat or alterations in the book had already been done, still they were more knowledgeable than the general Arab people, and they were also more receptive, and a lot of them did bring faith looking at the signs that were mentioned in their books of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. When they honestly looked at those, they accepted the prophethood of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So وَلَا تُجَادِلُوا أَهْلَ الْكِتَابِ إِلَّا بِالَّتِي هِيَ أَحْسَنُ. Do not debate with the people of the book unless it is in the best manner. إِلَّا الَّذِينَ ظَلَمُوا مِنْهُمْ. Except with those of them who commit injustice. So those who are cruel and transgressors and giving you a tough time and persecuting you, that's a different story. But if they are peaceful, then debate with them, call them to the oneness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in a peaceful, ahsan manner. وَقُولُوا, and say this to them, آمَنَّا بِالَّذِي أُنزِلَ إِلَيْنَا وَأُنزِلَ إِلَيْكُمْ. We bring faith over that which has been sent down to us and sent down to you. So we believe, and Islam is the only religion which believes in all the books sent by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, be it the Injil, be it the Torah, all of those. The thing that we have to be careful is, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was asked, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that do not totally refute the books of the people of the book being false. Rather say, we believe in that which was given by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this means that the true Injil, which was given by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the true Torah, the true Zabur that was given by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we believe in that, which means that we accept that it is the true book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Those books talked clearly about the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And although there was alterations to those books, even in the time of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, still they had enough signs of the last prophet remaining in them that the just and the unbiased ones among them were able to read those and identify the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So therefore, say to them that, look, we believe in that which was given to us, descended upon us and upon you. وَإِلَهُنَا وَإِلَهُكُمْ وَاحِدٌ. Another thing that is common between us and them is that they also believe in Allah and we also believe in Allah. وَنَحْنُ لَهُ مُسْلِمُونَ. And we submit to Allah. We are those who submit themselves to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the same ilah we also submit to. Now the problem is that why do you selectively believe in some books and refute the others, while we believe in all of those? Your book also talks about the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and you accept and agree, and your knowledgeable people, the scholars of the Yahud and the Nasara, even at that time understood the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and his signs that were given there. So we believe in that, but you do not believe in the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so you have selective belief. وَكَذَلِكَ أَنزَلْنَا إِلَيْكَ الْكِتَابَ فَالَّذِينَ آتَيْنَاهُمُ الْكِتَابَ يُؤْمِنُونَ بِهِ وَمِنْ هَؤُلَاءِ مَنْ يُؤْمِنُ بِهِ وَمَا يَجْحَدُ بِآيَاتِنَا إِلَّا الْكَافِرُونَ. Thus we have sent down the book to you. So those to whom we have given the book believe in it. And from these the people of Makkah, there are ones who believe in it, and no one rejects our verses except the infidels. So only those people who have resolved because of their bias and jealousy that they will not listen to a Arab person, they have resolved, and they are the infidels. They have chosen kufr, although their book, the book that they believe in, is telling them to believe in the final prophet when he comes. So this is how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given the book, which is a clear sign and open book, and the people who truly deserve to be called the ones of the book, they believe in the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And there was many among the among the people of Makkah who did believe in that. وَمَا كُنْتَ تَتْلُو مِنْ قَبْلِهِ مِنْ كِتَابٍ وَلَا تَخُطُّهُ بِيَمِينِكَ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, you have never been reciting any book before this, nor have you been writing it with your right hand. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was ummi, an unlettered prophet. He did not know how to write, he did not know how to read. And the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam is telling these words of wisdom, reciting this book. This itself is alone is a sign enough that this is a book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. A person who cannot read, a person who cannot write, there's simply no chance that he would have read past heavenly books and then combined them from here and there and then memorized them and started reciting to people. No. In fact, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was not even able to recite the Quran when he was asked to recite Quran. In the first instance, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, I am not a qari. the Prophet ﷺ was taught the recitation of the Quran as well. So the Prophet ﷺ was a very pure person, and this is an honor for the Prophet ﷺ that somebody who does this is a further proof of the Prophet ﷺ being a true Nabi of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that a person who cannot read, who cannot write, is telling these words of wisdom and telling the words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There is no chance that he could have made it up on his own. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, وَمَا كُنْتَ تَتْلُو مِنْ قَبْلِهِ مِنْ كِتَابٍ وَلَا تَخُطُّهُ بِيَمِينِكَ. You, Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, have never been reciting any book before this, nor have you been writing it with your right hand. إِذَا لَارْتَابَ الْمُبْطِلُونَ. Had it been so, the adherents of falsehood would have raised doubts. The people who try to, who adhere to false beliefs, they would have started raising doubts that he knows how to read and write. But rather, هو آيات بينات في صدور الذين أوتوا العلم وما يجحد بآياتنا إلا الظالمون. But the Quran itself is a package of evident signs in the hearts of those who are given knowledge, and no one rejects our verses except the wrongdoers. Another thing about the Quran is that the Quran came in different instances. Some ayat, then some ayat, then some ayat. And the Prophet ﷺ, as was the command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, would go and recite these ayat. So this is not also another thing that has been written here is, and is being said is here, it's not a one-out thing. That a person out of an accident, na'uzu billah, said something wise. No, the Prophet ﷺ is repeatedly reading the Quran over them, and repeatedly from very different angles, many different angles, giving them the words of wisdom. This is also again a proof that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has sent the Prophet ﷺ as the true Nabi. He is getting the word of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَقَالُوا, they say, لَوْلَا أُنزِلَ عَلَيْهِ آيَاتٌ مِّن رَبِّهِ. Why does he not bring the signs that we want from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, from his Lord? قُلْ إِنَّمَا الْآيَاتُ عِنْدَ اللَّهِ. Tell them that those signs are in the hands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The signs that I am showing, even those are not in my hand. Whatever Allah gives me to show, I show you. وَإِنَّمَا أَنَا نَذِيرٌ مُبِينٌ. And I am only a plain warner. أَوَلَمْ يَكْفِهِمْ أَنَّا أَنزَلْنَا عَلَيْكَ الْكِتَابَ يُتْلَى عَلَيْهِمْ. Is it not sufficient for them that we have sent down to you the book that is being recited to them? إِنَّ فِي ذَلِكَ لَرَحْمَةٌ وَذِكْرَى لِقَوْمٍ يُؤْمِنُونَ. The Quran itself is enough. Surely in it there is mercy and advice for a people who believe. قُلْ. If they still do not believe and they keep on taking the way of bias and jealousy and turning away, قُلْ. Say, كَفَى بِاللَّهِ بَيْنِي وَبَيْنَكُمْ. Allah is enough a witness between me and you. كَفَى بِاللَّهِ بَيْنِي وَبَيْنَكُمْ شَهِيدًا. Allah is enough a witness between you and me. يَعْلَمُ مَا فِي السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ. Allah knows fully well what is in the heavens and the earth. وَالَّذِينَ آمَنُوا بِالْبَاطِلِ وَكَفَرُوا. Those people who believe in falsehood and neglect and turn away from Allah. وَكَفَرُوا بِاللَّهِ أُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْخَاسِرُونَ. Those are the losers. So therefore, this is how we can argue or bring to reason the people of the book. And if still they choose to turn away, then our job is to keep reciting the ayat and leave the rest to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If they let us live peacefully, we also let them live peacefully. But we constantly keep on inviting them towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم وصلى الله تعالى على خير خلقه سيدنا مولانا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين آمين برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين.